Hello everyone, welcome to week number 3 in our Biology 120 course. We're into the semester now. We've got a lot going on. This is an important week because you have your milestone 1 of your final project due this week. So we'll be discussing that. All right, let's see where we are. All right, so last week we covered the chemistry of life and the importance of water to all life. Every organism on the planet that has ever been, that will ever be, that is alive right now contains water, so that tells you how important water is. Carbon is the basis of all organic molecules, and you learn that the reason for that is because you can make very complex molecules with carbon atoms. And then you went through the 4 groups of organic molecules: the carbohydrates, the lipids, the proteins, and the nucleic acids. And you looked at food labels and saw that basically there were 3 of those on the list, but that fourth one, the nucleic acids, is missing, and so there must be a reason for that. And I hope you told me all about that in your journal entry. The topics for this week will be classification of organisms. So this is a very natural thing for us to do as human beings, to classify things. We put things in categories, and there is a reason for that. It helps us organize things in our brain. Plus, it helps us predict behavior. So if you walk into a new room and you see a chair that you have never seen before, this is going to sound silly, but bear with me. If you see a chair that you have never seen before, if you didn't classify things, you would have to go up to that chair, you would have to examine it, you would have to maybe watch somebody else do something with the chair, and then you would figure out, oh, okay, this is the thing that I sit in. And that does sound silly, but because we classify things, we put things in categories, we understand what a brand new chair is that we have never seen before. This is what we do with organisms too. We classify them. One of the videos that you'll watch this week talks about the classification of organisms into the 3 domains. The domain eukarya, the domain eubacteria is what I call it. They call it bacteria on the video. And archaea, which is also called archaea, which are the archaebacteria, which live in extreme environments. And in eubacteria, you have all the bacteria, all the rest of the bacteria that live on the planet, including those that try to kill us and those that live on us. But then the eukarya contains all the organisms like us. And so we have protists, which include algae and a paramecium and an amoeba. Those are some that you would know, the protist. Fungi, which includes mushrooms and molds and mildew and that sort of thing. Plants, you know what plants are. And then animals, and we are in that category of animals. So classification is tremendously important to help us understand organisms. So we're going to look at different types of organisms, and that will include prokaryotes, which are also just called bacteria, but we have those 2 terms. And so prokaryote means before nucleus. This gives you an idea of what the cell structure of bacteria is like. They do not have nuclei. They are simple cells. Now, granted, they can do great harm to us and kill us, but they have very simple cells, and one cell is one organism. That's the way the bacteria roll. They don't have organelles, so organelles are organized compartments inside cells that eukaryotic cells, those organisms in that domain eukarya, contain. So nuclei, mitochondria, chloroplast, the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi apparatus, etc., etc. We have lots and lots of these different organelles in our cells, but bacteria don't have them. And you're going to be discussing that when you discuss cell structures. So to go along with this, you need to read the chapters in your OpenStax textbook, Biology 2E. Remember, it is a free textbook. All you have to do is search for it and you will find it, and it's there. And I will give you another link to that. But go to chapters 20-1, the first section in chapter 20, which talks about classification, and chapter 4, which has to do with cells and cell structures. A look at the overview, which is very short. Watch the videos. There's one that's especially good on the microbiome. Of course, I'm a microbiologist, so I love this stuff. But anyway, the microbiome, that's awesome. We definitely don't know enough about the microbiome. We are studying it. Scientists all around the world are studying the microbiome now. So what is that? Those are the tiny little organisms that live on and in us that we really don't completely understand. We don't know exactly which ones should live on us where. We don't know how many there are. We have numbers, but we don't know exactly which ones are the best ones and which combination of microbes is the correct combination, etc. So there's a lot for us to learn about the microbiome. Additionally, I am going to link another video, the Harvard Antibiotic Resistance Study, so that you can watch it. And I think I will make a short commentary on this to go along with this announcement. It's a very interesting study. And so I'll be talking about that. All right. So what is coming up that's due this week? You've got discussion board postings. Okay. And remember how this works. Your initial post is due by Thursday night at midnight. Then your 2 response posts are due on Sunday night by midnight. The first initial discussion board posting is why antibiotics target bacterial cells and not ours. This is very important because these drugs target cells and kill them. All right, if they kill bacterial cells, why don't they kill our cells? That's a very good question because we don't want them to do that. So why don't they? Look at cell structures. Look at the targets of antibiotics and see if you can figure this out. Okay. And then also you'll discuss how our use of antibiotics increases the rate of antibiotic resistance in bacteria. And eventually we produce some superbugs, and we're pretty close in a few instances of getting to the point where we have literally no antibiotics that will fight off some bacteria. This is a tremendous problem in the world. We think COVID-19 is a big problem in the world right now, which of course it is. But one of the 10 top public health issues in the entire world is antibiotic resistance in bacteria. And the reason for this is because bacteria are becoming resistant so fast that we can't keep up with producing new antibiotics. And so eventually we'll get to the point where you might have a bacterial infection that is not treatable. So you're either going to get better or the opposite. Answer those 2 questions. Realize in your response posts that you're supposed to talk about antibiotic use in livestock. This is a very common procedure now and has been for decades. And there's a reason for this. If you add antibiotics to the feed of farm animals that are used for food, like chickens, like pigs, like cows, this helps to increase the amount of muscle mass that they make. This increases the size of eggs that they lay. So there's a reason that farmers do this. Why in the world would they just put antibiotics in the feed of these animals that aren't sick? Because it helps to increase the bulk of the animal or the production of the animal. So I want you to talk about that in your response post to each other. So look up some information about that. And then you're also going to begin your final project, which this is milestone 1 that you have to do. Choose a topic from the list. If you don't like one of those topics, feel free to choose another one. If you choose one that's not on the list, then you have to email me so that I can approve it before you finish up this milestone 1. If you use one that I don't approve of, that isn't in the realm of our biology that we're studying, then you're going to do this milestone 1 for no good reason. So you have to email me before you do this. I'm going to have a link to milestone 1 guidelines and rubric, because this is extremely important to take a look at. You need to know what you need to put in here. Okay, now I put the first page of the guidelines and rubric right here on this slide so we can look at it for a second. All right, here's your list of topics: population, ecology, air pollution, water pollution, etc., etc. Human population, global warming, climate change, waste management. Okay, so there are lots of different topics here. Remember, if you want to do something else, just to let me know and let us have a discussion about this, and we'll figure out what will be good for you to do. All right, the critical elements for you to work on in this final project are listed right here. The introduction. All right, it says describe the topic that you selected. This does not mean 4 words. A description is a paragraph, at least. So describe your topic. Human population, what's that got to do with anything? Well, it's increasing faster than we're producing new crops and food supplies, and we're running out of usable water, and oh yes, you can see so many problems here. So describe the topic that you selected. Why is it significant? So for the human population, we're going to run out of space. We're going to run out of resources eventually on this planet if we don't control the human population. I don't know if that will be possible, but that will be something for your generations to figure out. Why is it interesting to you? Oops. Let me go back. Sorry. Let me go back. Why is it interesting to you? Why did you pick this topic? Is this something that affects you? Is it something that keeps you up at night because you're worried about it? You know, include that. Why is it significant or interesting to the field of biology? Because all of these are important. If I look through the list, I'll find genetic modification. Ooh, that's one of my favorite topics. I used to teach a biotechnology course, and we used to do some genetic modification, which was awesome. But there are reasons to do it, and there are reasons not to do it. So what's the significance of this topic to general biology? And support your response with real life examples. How is this working out in the world? What do you know about it now? And if you don't know much about it, of course, you're going to access the Shapiro Library to find some information about this. You're going to be looking up quite a few references to help you support your ideas and to give you some data and some graphs and some information about your topic. Okay, you notice that section 1 is labeled 1 Introduction. Make sure you label your paper with these labels so that I know that you're telling me that this is the introduction right here, Dr. Sigmon. Right here, this paragraph, these 2 paragraphs. Okay, so there's no question whatsoever. The second part of this is your topic. Where? Where does this happen? So for the human population, of course, it happens all over the entire world except Antarctica, where we have some researchers. Okay, we have a few people. But on the other continents of the planet, including the ecosystems, the biomes, where does this happen in the environment? Eutrophication, if you look at that one, that has to do with bodies of water. So what kinds of bodies of water does this happen in? Does it happen in the ocean? Or just freshwater lakes and ponds? Or does it happen in estuaries? Does it happen in wetlands? Okay, so you get my point. Where does your topic occur? And specifically where? How? How does the process happen? How, and this is in general terms now because you're going to get more into this as we go along. How does your topic occur? How does the human population increase? Well, you know, we know about reproduction. But how is it occurring? Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Woo, bless me. All right. And who are the species, including their classification? So, of course, humans are Homo sapiens. You would include that if you're talking about human population. Who benefits as a result of this topic. And if we're talking about human population, are there any industries, businesses, organizations, countries, political systems, you just keep going, let your mind run wild, that benefits from this particular topic? Let's look at another example, air pollution. So of course we all know that air pollution is bad. Why do we have air pollution? Somebody must benefit from this, otherwise we would stop it. So who benefits from it? Automobile manufacturers, the fossil fuel industry, oil and gas companies. Who benefits? Companies that put air pollution into the air, who aren't regulated enough. Who benefits? And are there any positive side effects to this particular topic? Well, with the human population so far, the planet has been able to sustain 7 billion people. So far, the human population has benefited from the human population increasing. But who experiences positive effects from the topic? Does anyone? So you'll have to give that some thought. Make sure to label this section topic. Number 2, under that, where, label that so I know this is what you're talking about. Otherwise, sometimes I have to guess, and I may not guess what you're meaning for me to guess. So don't do that. Just label everything. All right, so that's that first page of the rubric and the guidelines. You can look at the second page. I also like to give you a tip of the week. Hey, this is a slide I just went to. Put your assignments into the correct format, okay? So for milestone 1, the instructions say to make a Word document that's 1 or 2 pages long, not including the references. It tells you what kind of font, what kind of margins. Okay, I'm not all crazy about all that, but you know, reasonable margins, reasonable font, not teeny tiny font, 12 times New Roman font is perfectly fine. So put your assignments into the correct format. Right now, your milestones will be in the form of Word documents. When you get to the final project in week 7, then you switch over to a PowerPoint presentation or something similar to a PowerPoint presentation. Doesn't have to be PowerPoint, could be a PDF or something with slides. So you're going to change the format. This is going to be important because that's part of the grading of that particular assignment. This one right now is a Word document. I also want to encourage you, when you get the grading for milestone 1, to go in and modify it and fix it any way that it needs to be fixed so that you can put this together with your other milestones by the time you get to the end of your final project. If you don't make the modifications now, then you're going to have way more to do in that week number 7. If you're taking the lab, you also have a final project due in lab in week 7. Week 7 is very heavy with assignments. So it is best to get your modifications done now, and then it's a lot easier to put everything together in the final project. So put things in the right format and modify these milestones once I get them graded. And as always, I'm here for you. Ask me questions, lean on me. I'm here to help you through the semester. So here's my email address, m.sigmon@snhu.edu. Let me know if you have any trouble. I will be out of town this week for a few days, but I will be checking my emails, I promise you. And I will get back to you as soon as I can. So have a wonderful week. Here's some deer. Hey, this was a whole herd of bucks that were going to visit the beach. You can see the beach water out there in front of them. But this is a group of bucks And some of them have great big antlers. I didn't get the biggest one here in this picture. But for your enjoyment. Have a wonderful week and let me know if you need anything.